Hi, everybody. So today I am joined by Chloe. This is the exact kind of conversation I wanted to have for off the record because, yes, we're going to talk about all the inner work and where Chloe was when we first met and what happened when we were working together. But honestly, the bit I'm most interested in is the aftermath of that. It's actually the ripple effect. That's the true story that I want to talk about, how one brave decision suddenly led into many, many more brave decisions, the confidence that started to build, the life that started to get created when it got bigger, the new challenges that you come across as you grow. It's new levels, new devils. And that wake up moment when you realize, I'm not the same person anymore. And going back to who I was just isn't an option or even desirable. And honestly, watching Chloe over the years has been, apart from the fact, the biggest gift for me of all time, but it's exactly what actually happened. So yeah, let's get into it, and I'm going to welcome my queen, Chloe. Thanks very much for joining me today, Chloe.
No, thank you for having me. I'm very excited, as always, to talk to you.
Honestly, it's one of the biggest gifts for me was not only working for you, but being able to bring you into my world and do things like this, because I have watched you go from strength to strength ever since I met you many years ago. And I think I said to you as well at the time, I usually don't work with younger people. I mean, you're not young, you were in your early 20s, but a lot of my client base is usually a lot older, probably more in alignment with my own age. But there was something about you when I met you that very early on, and I just knew that you had this thing that to me is a bit like the X factor. I just knew you were someone that had potential up here, and you are here with it because you were very, very driven. You had a business, you were very focused. But I saw a lot of the things you were trapped in, whether it was
Mm.
within your habits, within relationships, within family dynamics, within your own overthinking and lack of true self trust. And over that time that I got to know you, the work that we did to take you on that journey, initially from releasing all the things that didn't serve you through to staying present. And then during that time, finding that ultimate self trust to take that next step, even if it was metaphorically feeling like you were holding my hand on the way. Is that the reason you work with somebody at the end of the day? Is because we struggle maybe to take that step. And then for me, it's more about what even happened after that, because that journey just grew exponentially. I think
Mm.
probably even in ways that you might not even have known yourself was possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, crazy levels.
So just for the audience listening in, because I've been talking about your story actually in different platforms, and people were saying, "Oh, can't wait to hear more about Chloe and her story and how it all came about." Because when I actually just documented it in a post, I tried to get as much of the essence of what happened over, but it's not the same as hearing from the Queen herself, about the journey and about the outcomes. So for me, I would love you to just, first of all, tell people a little bit where you are right now. So before we go back and look at the pieces that got you there, just tell them what your life is like right now, because it's pretty awesome.
God, I don't even know where to start. I mean, obviously, me and you worked together when we both lived in Glasgow.
Mhm.
Currently, I'm living in Perth, Australia, which is a move that just shocked me completely and everyone else around me. And yeah, I own another business. As you say, I already had a business back in Glasgow that I just wasn't enjoying, felt really trapped in. Didn't think I would ever start another one because it's a lot of stress. And I've now got a business over in Perth that's absolutely thriving. I've got an amazing group of people around me. My relationships with my family is amazing, and my current relationship that I'm in is just thriving and better than ever. I'm sure we'll delve into that as well
Oh,
during the whole
yes.
topic. But yeah, I honestly feel like a different person. It's really hard for me to reconcile the person I was when I first came to you and the
Mhm.
person I am now. I just feel like as totally different people. As much as like there's still loads of different traits, I just can it's almost like emotional for me to talk about because I just don't even recognise who I was to who I've become now and the person that I am in Australia. Just all the work we done really built the foundation for who I am as a person now and like my kind of ethos and just everything, like all my success I kind of credit to all the work that we done together.
Oh, that's such an accolade for me, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you.
Mhm.
But as I always say to my clients, it's like, you know, I can help facilitate. I have a skill set and tools and all these different things and a different energy maybe from some people that people maybe work with over time. But the goal really for me is always just to hold that space and to show people that when you let go of narratives, beliefs, stories, things that are holding you stuck, that anything is possible on the other side that you might want. And I think the most important thing is to recognise that to get to that stage, and you hit the nail on the head there, Chloe, you said about your identity, and no, that old version of you probably wouldn't have the way you talk about how happy you are, content, the business, the relationships, the connections, that version of you that was in Glasgow, it probably wouldn't have fit in that world that you're in right now.
Oh
It's
yeah.
what's happened. It's just the whole journey, the evolution that's actually opened it up so that as you arrived in Perth as a version of yourself that had evolved, and actually, as we'll get into the story, you're not even the same person that you were when you arrived in Australia. It's like
I feel
how
like, yeah, I've been about 10 different people. I feel like the last 2 years have spanned over like 20 years. Like, I'm not even joking. I feel like every few months I'm a different person. I've got a different life. There's something else happening. But I love it because it's all a journey to a better self. But I really like it. Feels very long.
And I think that's the key here is like a lot of times people think, to do this kind of work on myself to create a life that's more open, that's more abundant, that's get more full of love and all these things takes years and years and years and years.
Mhm.
You're one of these people that are the proof that working on yourself for a condensed period actually has the ability to create exponential growth. Because a couple of things I would say. Number one, you arrived. In fact, maybe this is where we'll start actually. She's a good place to start. So when you came to me, I was curious, I guess, about, well, what was it about that moment that was different? Because you'd already seen other therapists, you'd already tried other things. And I remember how you presented. I knew you were so keen for change, but yet something wasn't clicking with all the other things that you were doing. And I guess I want to ask you, I know you're evolved completely since then, but do you remember what it was that was that sort of moment that you thought it needs to be now and it needs to be with a different type of person to help me move forward? Can you remember what that was like?
Um, it's actually a bit of a kind of random path that put me onto you, but I don't know if you remember the first time we had a Zoom consultation. I was actually in Mexico with my ex-partner at the time, and I was in a really bad place, like just mentally and just emotionally and just everything. I was just feeling really burnt out, overthinking everything. I was very catastrophizing everything. I just felt like I needed a change and I needed it fast. And I was actually reading a book in Mexico. It was just like a random novel. And they were talking about hypnotism. And I thought, I really want someone to just hypnotize me and just make me into this new person. So I actually looked up, can you do therapy with like some hypnotism? How is this a thing? Like, where can I have somebody just click their fingers and tell me you're totally healed? And then you came up, which isn't obviously what you do, obviously. But hypnotherapy, then I then started looking into hypnotherapy. I then found you. And once you were the first person I'd ever spoken to about hypnotherapy. When I told my friends and family, they were thinking, hypnotist, like really. And then when I had that initial Zoom call with you, I was just so, I knew who I wanted to be and I knew the change I wanted to make. And I was so desperate to make it. And when I spoke to you, I feel like we just clicked from the start. As you said, you were like explaining to me, like, I just feel like I see something in you. And I felt the exact same from you. I just felt like I just felt very seen. I felt understood. And I really felt like, when you're just aligned. I just had that right
Mhm.
moment and just time. And yeah. And I also appreciated the fact that you took time to read my inquiry, as you do with everyone, but you knew I was in Mexico. I think you woke up at like an ungodly hour to talk to me and consult with me. And as soon as I spoke to you, I just felt this sense of like, think this is where I'm meant to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, very random how I got there, but I just, from the moment we had that consultation, I just kind of knew like, okay, I feel like I need to try this out.
Yeah, and I do remember that, and I remember how you were presenting at that time, and as I said, I just knew there was a part of you that was really looking for change, and when I work with people, that's one of the main things it's like a sense of an energy. So I can often tell so as much as you were saying, oh, I want someone to hypnotize me and make it all go away, and then I'm a different person. It's weird because in one way it's kind of a truth, but in
Yeah.
another way it's not true, because you actually have to do the work away from the person as well. And
Yeah.
it's about habits changing, and about who is around me, what am I consuming, is it the wrong things I'm consuming, what am I listening to, what am I eating, what are the relationships that are around me. There was a lot of different things that can impact our results in life. And just listening to all your story about what was keeping you stuck, I just could tell with your energy that the desire for change was huge. Now, for me, as a facilitator of that change, whether you call me a mentor, hypnotherapist, coach, leader, or all these different things, doesn't really matter. I tried not to put a name on it, because it's more about an energy, about holding space, letting someone feel seen and heard, and then opening up. Sort of it's like a lot of reframing to help someone see that there can be other ways, because a lot of the time, if you only know the environment that's around you, it's difficult then to open your mind to something new, because even if you do for a split second, then you can be met with people around you who are saying, seems a bit off the wall, why would you want to get hypnotized, make you maybe jump up and down in one leg, and get all these misconceptions of stage hypnotism. But for me, as I said, when I met you, the energy was on point and the alignment was right there. And I probably told you at the time, I don't usually work with young people, but in some way, I actually got a sense of, you reminded me a little bit of myself, to be honest, like with the tenacity you had in you. And I thought, yeah, this girl's going to go places. She doesn't know that as she lives in our local area, surrounded by our local community, doing the things she's doing, she's also limiting herself. Even though you had the successful business, you were into travel, you had all these dreams, it was still a bit like a cage for you. And in those initial sort of times that we met, if you think about the journey we had together, it was probably about 6 months or just over that. But in that initial phase, there was a lot more focus on probably the past and the narratives that were keeping you stuck, and the overthinking and obsessing about things that you can't control, and the proximity to maybe unhealthy habits and maybe unhealthy in people and relationships. And I wonder if you're comfortable sharing a wee bit about that, then by all means, please enlighten us a wee bit about those things that maybe without you realising it, once you explored it, you realised were actually keeping you stuck in that sort of trapped feeling, because that was the initial part of the work that we did.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think even just thinking back, like a lot of the main reason that I came to you was just because I felt so awful in myself, and just mentally I didn't really have the kind of tools, or like I guess not mechanisms, but methods on how to like cope with myself and what I was feeling and thinking, and kind of move past them. I was just really stuck and stagnant. A lot of the things that were kind of affecting me, I was in quite a bad place with my ex at the time. We loved each other a lot, but we just were quite young and quite immature emotionally. And even though we loved each other, I feel we didn't really know how to kind of present that healthily in a relationship at the time. And I think that we just got a bit in our heads, and it just ended up more toxic than it should have been. So that was just a really big factor for me. I felt like I had to kind of get out of that and then kind of heal myself, as did he. So we went and done that individually, which I'm really glad about. And then another thing, I used to partake in quite unhealthy habits, and I used to kind of honestly do it every single night as a kind of coping mechanism, in a way to just kind of like forget the way I was feeling and just kind of stay numb to it. And I thought that that was kind of like my way of just being like, everything's fine, it'll all sort itself out in time. But that was actually just putting a plaster over like a deep wound. It really wasn't helping at all. But when you try and tell someone that when they're in the six, we're very in denial, we don't want to hear it, it's nothing to do with the habits at all.
Oh
It's all
no.
to do with, it's all excuses. And obviously now that I'm out of that mindset and out of that lifestyle, I'm so like, oh, maybe that's why I was feeling that way. So yeah, I just had very unhealthy habits and just an unhealthy way of thinking. I didn't love myself. I didn't really take care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally. I also feel like I was quite, don't know if you would call it victim mentality, but I feel like you would say to me quite a lot, why don't you just go and travel? Why don't you book a flight? Why don't you give up your job? Why don't you do this? And I'd be like, no, but what about this? What about my dad? What about the salon? And I just gave so many excuses to why I couldn't do something. And it took 6 months of working with you for me to be like, actually, this is my life and I can just take control of it whenever I want to. And like the only person that was stopping me was me. So really, I think the most important thing was honestly just having a healthier relationship with myself. And I know we did quite a lot of work on inner child as well, which I feel like, yeah, I had to do a lot of work for inner child kind of syndrome, I guess, too, because there was some things from my past that weren't at the forefront, but obviously, as I know from working with you, that kind of wires your brain and has to
Yeah.
do with how you think and how you feel and how you process things. So I think a lot of that deep inner child work, I mean, I still listen to your audio recordings now, even like 2 years later.
Years later.
I still listen to them. I literally have just listened to one in February when I was on holiday to get to sleep. Like it's still, I mean, I'm still doing the work as I go,
Yeah.
but yeah, you really helped me facilitate and just know how to deal with it. So yeah, I think that's probably the
No,
most.
I think a couple of things you said there, Chloe, I think they're really pertinent because one can recognise the substance thing for anyone that knows my story. It's all in there. You don't need to just be in your 20s to not get it right. You can continue not getting it right for a prolonged period of time, and you can still come out the other side and turn your entire life around and be practically almost fully living with an aim to be fully living in Italy. And that's my life. So it's about, you said there a couple of things that I thought the audience, anyone listening to this, is worthwhile recognising. It was less about victimhood, Chloe, for me, and actually, because you actually had really good ways of moving through things. What I found for you, particularly, it was more about the not trusting yourself, that if I make a move, it will be okay, and not really just about being okay for you. Because I think even though you were still figuring yourself out, you were very hyper independent. So you had that ability to be stronger than you even probably needed to be. But that came from childhood and different experiences and situations where hyper independence was a bit of a go-to for you. But one of the things I remember, I felt this one was when we did a good bit of work on, was that feeling of you wanting someone else to change. And wanting other people to screw the nut, more of a Glasgow phrase, but it's like, right, I need them to do their bit so that I can be okay. And what we used to come back to, session after session is, I get that that's what you want, but there's nothing you can do, and you can only show up for yourself. And then one of two things will happen. One, they'll take your lead and they'll realise that actually we're going in the right direction here. Or two, we'll create that space and we'll go our own way. And the reason I want to bring this up, Chloe, is because so many people will not do what you did out of fear of realising that it's a 50-50 chance they're taking. 50% chance that it's going to work out, and 50% chance you'll go in your own direction. And for you, it was so scary, the idea of that, because you did love this guy and you knew there was something special there, but for some reason you were both not on the same page. You still had these dreams of, going abroad, Thailand, all these pipe dreams, and trying to drag him over the line when he wasn't there, maybe financially or, career-wise, or even just set in his ways. And I think anyone that's listening to this, if you have that feeling that you think you'll be okay if that person just changes, unfortunately, it's not really how it works. They've got to get there in their own time scale. And, that takes us kind of on to that part where the inevitable did happen. And it was that first half of our journey together was very focused on not so much the habit itself, the unhealthy habits, right? Because often when we start to work on ourselves and then we expand our life and then we put our focus elsewhere, these things naturally fall away because we're not looking to dull down what we're thinking and feeling because we get excited again. It's like, oh, there's something else out there, something else that I'm excited to explore. And all of a sudden, I don't want to be in a down zone. I don't want to be dulling my mind and my body. I actually want to see things in technicolor. And for that, I need to have clean head, clean living. I need to have a clear head, healthy mind and body. So as much as it was an issue, you recognizing and on reflection, seeing actually that didn't really help me. And I can put my hand up there too, Chloe. Mine was all about the partying lifestyle, but actually what ended up happening for me was I was scared to come out of that because I knew if I stepped away from that, I was stepping away from my entire circle of friends, my entire identity, if you will, the whole lifestyle. And I'm like, how am I going to stick my head above the parapet here and survive? Like, who do I know? I don't know another life. I don't know another way. And I wasn't in my early 20s, you know, by this point, I was well into my 30s. And I'm thinking, what's going to happen here if I actually make a change? And it took a long time for it to happen, but it does make a difference when you have the courage to say, I want to live a different life and in a different way. So how do I make that happen for myself? Is that actually making a noise? Is it my hair on that? I can hear
No,
a
it's
wee
not
noise.
making a noise.
No, is it not? Okay, maybe it's at this end. That's fine. Just in case it was my hair on my AirPods. So yeah, you're not the only one. I'm not leaving you hanging out there to dry like you're the only person that's ever avoided their life using substances and unhealthy habits. But we're here to tell the tale, and I think that's the key part of this story. It's not about the not changing or taking too long, or it's about do the work and anything is possible. So if we then look at the relationship side of things, just briefly, you said there that, you wanted them to change. You felt like you were putting obstacles in your own way. Like, I want to travel, but I want to do this, but what about leaving my dad? I want to do this, but what about him or that or whatever? So, it's me, it's putting a ping on this now. So yeah, it's like, how do you get to that place that you feel they're going to be okay without me and I've got to choose my own life first? How does that, like, how do you get to that place, where you can step away?
I mean, I think everyone's story will be different. So everyone's kind of journey to get to that place is obviously very, very different. But I think for me, even though Kai and I loved each other so much, as I said before, we weren't in the healthiest of spaces. It just got to a point with me where, and it wasn't even so much him, it was more, I was just getting really in my own head about things and just really negative and down in the dumps. I was crying all the time. I was just really down. And I couldn't do the work. I felt like I couldn't do the work on myself while being with him because he was a little bit stagnant as well at that time in his life. I mean, this was years ago, we were so much younger. So I felt like either I stay and we are going to probably not work out because we're getting a little bit toxic. I'm sad. He doesn't know why. There's a lack of trust. There's this, that, and the next thing. Or I make the really tough decision to go separate ways and we both go and work in each other and we just pray that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and we find our way back to each other. So for me, it just kind of reached a boiling point of, what it's like when you begin a breakup, you're arguing all the time. It's just not the nicest. No matter how much you love each other, it's just not nice for anyone. And it just got to that point where I just had to choose me, even though it was an awful decision. I just thought I physically felt like I was losing my mind at points, and I was 22. I just thought I don't want to feel like this anymore. I I'd just done it for so long, and I also think because I did love him so much, it was then even harder because I genuinely cared about the relationship and I did want it to work. So I felt like I'm not the type of person I want to be to make this work. It can't work if I'm not a good person in myself. Likewise with him. So all we're going to do is end up ripping each other to shreds if we stay together. We need to just go our separate ways. And it was a hard decision, but ultimately it's worked out amazing. And it was just the best decision. And I always say now, like, if that hadn't happened, we would have just went down this horrible, horrible path of like eventually hating each other if we hadn't went and done the work on ourselves.
So spoiler alert, tell them.
Well, we actually ended up finding each other again. So we're actually back together.
Only this time, instead of it being in and around Glasgow, we're all the way in Perth in Australia. And I mean, this is the crux of it, isn't it? So, just listening to your story, dealing with leaving people behind, not leaving them, but choosing you and choosing what's important to you to heal yourself and to stop feeling this. And I think you'll know what I'm talking about because we've both experienced this. When you get that inner conflict, when it's like you're internally fighting yourself, it's like, why am I so miserable? Why do I feel like I've constantly like I'm doing an ab crunch? It's like this internal twisted conflict. And it's because there's a version of me that's screaming at me going, what are you doing? Like, what even is this life? Like, there's a whole world there that you want, and you keep telling yourself it's not possible, you can't do it, you need somebody to go with, you can't fund it, what about my business, what if somebody's not, what my dad's not going to be on his own, he's not going to be okay, all of these things. And then one day you go, do you know what? Let's start the moving forward. And that actually leads us up to bits where the ripple effect really happens. So to get to the point where you start opening up new pathways, not only in here, right? Because you'll be mapping in new stories and new ways of being, but to actually open up the doorway to new opportunities. Sometimes the only way forward, often the only way forward, is that hard decision to let the familiar go. And as much as the familiar it's comfy, it's not great, but it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. At least I've got my pals. I mean, we might be arguing all the time, but at least we've got something that's good once a week, that we're normal and we're friendly with one another. And, things are not always great with my dad, but hey, these are the moments that it's good. It's like, we'll take the scraps because it's what we know, rather than betting on ourselves because we don't trust ourselves. But you reach that point of no return, and it's like, right, I've made that decision now where he's out of the picture for the short term or long term. We don't know, but I have to trust that I'm going in the right direction. And I will never forget, and I actually want to share this with you, I don't know if I've ever told you this before. So when you were talking about your dreams in Thailand and all this, right? And we're sitting in the session, because my work is not just hypnotherapy, which works with rewiring the brain. It's the coaching, it's the mentoring, it's the cheerleading, it's everything, right? And we're talking about different ways. I'm like, well, what's all the options and the ways that you could do this traveling? Well, I would like my friend to go, but she's this. I was like, well, what other ways could you go and it's not alone? Well, there's these group things. I'm like, right, there's your homework. Let's start investigating all the ways that you could not be alone, but you could still do this. And the thing I want to share with you, Chloe, is I sat there in those moments, especially when you sent me that screenshot of the email that you were booked on the Thailand group thing, right? We'll come to that in a second. I remember in that moment saying to myself, I've just worked with this queen, right? And she is about to embark on a brand new life. Debbie, why are you still in Bishop Briggs?
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, you're bloody good at telling everybody else how to do it.
Yeah.
Why are you still in Bishop Briggs? Because my mum and my sisters and my nieces and my friends and how would that work? No, but excuses. Everyone will be fine. And guess what? Shocker. Everyone is fine. Did they miss me?
Yeah.
Yes. Did I miss them? Yes. But is everybody just getting on with their life? Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we make this big story in our head that we think people won't cope. It's not people. We think we
Mm.
won't cope. That's the problem. We think we won't
100%.
cope. And you maybe didn't know about this, but you were like the catalyst for me. So through you and your journey, you've no idea, but you opened the gateway for me, because I sat there going, how can I be someone that supports people like this and not expand my own life at the same time? I should
Definitely.
be 2 steps ahead in a lot of these journeys, and then I can
Mhm.
help people come behind me, right? That's what my job is ultimately. So what are you doing, Debbie? That's what I'm saying.
I know,
I was like, you
exactly.
cannot be Bishop Briggs. So anyway, let's get back to when you sent me that screenshot. I won't show you because it would involve a lot of jumping about and near cartwheeling around my spare room with excitement. But that was exactly how I felt when I saw it, because I was like, she did it. She got it over the line. So give me the build up. Why Thailand? How it happened, and then tell me, because this is all the ripple effect from now on for the rest of this discussion. It's all about what happened after that, because you and I did
Okay.
the work together, and this is how it all unfolds. So over to you.
All right. Yeah, well, as you said, we were humming and hawing for months, perhaps, like about booking this trip to Thailand. I originally wanted to, I can't remember why I decided Thailand. I think I'd just seen a lot about it on social media. I wanted to go around and just try Thailand for maybe 2 months, see how it was. I really wanted my friend to come with me, but she's just a very last minute person and I'm very type A in the way of planning now. So I just wanted to get it booked and go. And I thought, I always had wanted to do a solo trip. I was always just scared because, like, how do you just turn up in Bangkok at the age of 22, not knowing anything about anything and just make it work? So I looked into these group tours for traveling. I think there was about 12 of us taken around with a tour leader, everything certified, and it's all planned for you. I think it was 12-day tour. And I spoke to you about it and I was, kind of going back and forth for ages, like, oh my God, I don't know. I just don't know if it's for me. A bunch of strangers, how will it go? And then just one night, I think I finished my session with you that day and I went home and literally just booked it. I think I was just
That's
like, oh my
exactly
God,
how it happened.
yeah, before I get the chance to talk myself out, I'm just going to book it. And I paid the deposit and I literally was like, I think I done it in November and I went in January. I still remember it was the 10th of January. So anyway, ended up going after lots of pep talks from you. And I mean, I just had the most phenomenal time. Like, I was actually talking on my Instagram today about how when anyone goes to Thailand, and anyone that's been traveling around Thailand will probably be relating to this right now, but you just never leave. Like, every single traveler that goes to Thailand leaves a piece of their heart with them. And it was just such a special time for me. Like, I felt like I was really kind of healing from my breakup with Kai, and honestly just getting out there. I wasn't smoking any more marijuana or anything, and I just felt really clear. And I just felt like, obviously I was in a job that I didn't like at the time. I had my own business that I didn't love.
Yep.
I just felt like, oh my God, all this life is out here and I'm sitting back home in miserable Glasgow, like the same as you. I just thought,
What am
wow,
I doing?
like people are happy. This is crazy. And then, I mean, 2 months ended up turning into 5 months. My clients were all like, when are you coming home? I need my lashes done. So unfortunately, I had to come home at one point. But yeah, I ended up coming home. And as soon as I got home, I did hit a little bit of a curveball, thinking, oh my God, there's no way I can return from this trip of a lifetime. And I then just ended up making the plans to actually move to Australia. I'd never thought about Australia before, but it was just because loads of people in Thailand were talking about Australia. A lot of them lived in Australia and had come to Asia to travel too. So many people I met had just had a great thing to say about Australia. So I just ended up, I think it got to like August. I got back from Thailand maybe in May. By August, I'd booked my flight to Australia. And funnily enough, my flight to Thailand was on the 10th of January, and so was my flight to Australia. So I feel like it was just really, it just aligned. Yeah, it just aligned. So yeah, and then I ended up getting to Australia. I spent maybe 5 weeks traveling around the East Coast. All throughout these travels, I just met the most amazing people, like really just met great people, just that I probably would never actually speak to back home. And it just really, don't know, I think when you travel anywhere yourself, it really just makes you put yourself out there and try things you wouldn't try, like
It opens
speak to
your
people you
mind
wouldn't
to
speak to. 100%. And
different cultures, different people, and it's like you're right.
yeah.
We have a bit of a trend of, oh, these are the people I know and these are the people I hang with. But actually,
Mm,
when you travel, your mind just explodes with all these different types of cultures and language and everything.
yeah.
You surprise yourself, don't you?
100%. Yeah. And I really do, as much as I did definitely do the work when I was with you and then after you as well. I really do feel like if I hadn't been those travels, which probably added up to like 6 or 7 months traveling all combined, I wouldn't still be the person I am today. I really
No,
feel
it
like
changes
that
you.
evolved me. Yep,
Hmm.
really did evolve me. So anyway, ended up traveling around the East Coast, and I came to Perth, and as soon as I landed in Perth, it just felt really right. Just felt completely aligned. It felt like I was where I was supposed to be. I was really happy. I felt like it was a place that I could settle down in. And yeah, I ended up bumping into my ex in Perth, weirdly enough. So yeah, we ended up bumping into each other randomly in a bar, which is actually how we met the first time, on just a random night out. Taps my shoulder. I turned round and I met with the old love of my life, that's still the love of my life. And we just had it off. We just had like a kind of confessional night, how we'd never stop thinking about each other and blah blah blah. And yeah,
You're
we're
quite the
back
catch,
together.
Chloe. You would be hard to forget, let me tell you. So I'm not surprised he was still staying up at night thinking about you.
Well,
But I'm pleased for him that he did his part of the work too, because independently he was able to go and find himself. And for whatever reason, some up there universal, alignment, he's come back together. And like listening to you when I was speaking to you the other week there, it was even just down to things like the way that this new business that you've decided to start, having grown so organically, I think, things that are meant to be sometimes just present themselves.
yeah.
So, what am I saying here, right? So, a lot of people will say, oh, opportunities, I don't get opportunities, or things don't really seem to happen for me. I actually think it's less about that and more about being ready to act when an opportunity strikes. So it's about being the right version of you that is open, that is seeing things that are going on, and then that has the confidence to go, me, I'll do that. Because if someone says, oh, nothing ever really happens for me, and I don't really think that's true. I think most of the time you've not got the confidence to snap an opportunity when it comes, or you're not even looking for them because you're complaining that things aren't right. But for you, it was more about being the right person at the right time in the right place, and then was able to go, I know how to make a business because that's who I am. So give us a wee overview of what your business is, because I just wish I was in Australia to do this. It's the cutest thing every time I see it on like YouTube shorts, because I watch things with YouTube shorts, and it's this thing that you'll tell them in a wee second. And every time I think, God, I wish I was in that, because it's the cutest thing ever.
It is. It's the best job ever. So when I got to Perth in February, I think by March, I had actually started a puppy yoga and Pilates business. So if you've never heard of it before, you're basically come to a yoga or Pilates class. You're not doing too much working out, don't get me wrong, but there's cute little puppies or kittens running around the class, and you can just play with them. You'll know yourself, it's scientifically proven to help your mental health, boost your mood, physical well-being too, with the small yoga and Pilates combined. So yeah, it's just a really feel good thing to do, and obviously like working with puppies every weekend is literally the best job ever. But I started that in Perth. We were actually one of the first ones to be in Perth, which was really good. It was very niche of us at the time to open, and it just took off like a shot. Like, I was so impressed with how well it done. I really just started out with 12 yoga mats and a puppy bed, and it just grew into like, I've got 21 staff members now. We'd run classes every single weekend without fail. We've got a massive range of like breeders and shelters that we work with that are all ethical, and we've got great relationships with everyone. Our classes sell out in like 29 seconds on the website. Like, it's overwhelming how busy it is, which is amazing. Because I did think it was maybe going to be one of those fads that people do and then forget about 6 months later, but it's just grown to the point where I don't actually have to work now as well. I just run that, which is amazing. Like, I feel like I've really found financial freedom, and that also testaments to why I think Perth felt so right is because not only have I bumped back into who I feel is my life partner, but also I've created a business that's just enabled me to do so much over the last year and has actually really contributed towards my future too. So not only do I feel like the partner is the reason that Perth felt right, I also feel like I was meant to be here, start this business, and again meet loads of different people, like friends and things. Like the people I've met here, I know they're going to be like bridesmaids at my wedding and things like that. Like it's just, I feel like everything is just aligned when I got to Perth, and it's just all going really well. So fingers crossed it stays that way.
Well, here's the thing, Chloe. You know as well as I do that there'll be a curveball on its way at some point in the future. The difference is, though, you're already in the curveballs, you're just not feeling them the same.
Yeah.
Because you've learned a skill set that has been a game changer for how you operate in this world. So
Definitely.
without realising it, there'll have been things happening over the last weeks, months, even years that in the past would have just knocked you right off centre. But because you have a skill set now that allows you to stay steady in the storm, resilient, process your emotions in a way that allows you to feel things but keep moving forward, it's that allows you to cope with whatever's going to come ahead, because life is not ever without problem. In fact, I always think if you're not feeling challenged, if you don't feel like you've got, I mean, think about it. You didn't have a staff of 21 when you worked in the lash bar place that you had, right? But look at you now, you're doing this thing that if I'd asked you back when you'd lashes, if you'd ever imagine a business with 21 staff where you're now just running it and not in it, I'm pretty certain that it would have been a dream, but not necessarily something that you could have imagined how to make real. And for now, for me, listening to how you've come on that journey, that to me is a testament of the groundwork. That really was that's came from. So you've become a version of yourself that says, oh, wait a minute, I can not only do hard things, I've also got the business brain. You always had that. But actually, I can take risks that are even bigger, because if I can leave my lash bar and survive, if I can leave my family, if I can split up in a relationship, if I can travel solo to Thailand, if I can take a risk going to Australia, then this is possible for me, because that's who I am now. I am that version of myself that has a brand new identity that says I can do hard stuff, I can survive it. So come on, challenges, where you at? I'm ready for the next level. And that's listening to you. That's really what I'm hearing here. It's like you've just leveled up. You know how they talk about, I don't want to get woo-woo here, right? Because I don't want, it's not a woo-woo type thing, but they talk about that internal vibration, like if you think about where you were when we first started together, then how you were in midpoint, and then how you were when you were in Thailand, and now where you're at in Perth, like with this whole new life. It's like, you might remember this, right, from working with me. Don't know if you ever remember this metaphor I used to talk about, climbing the mountain. So if you think about what was going on, right? So you talk about how at the ground level, you look about and you can see a lot, and you could get a business, you'd friends, you'd this, you'd that, and you're gorgeous, you could get any guy you wanted. It's like the world could have been your oyster in Glasgow, right? And that could have been okay. But then you dared to climb up to the halfway point, and as scary as it was, you saw a new vision and looked out even further and thought, oh, I didn't know that was out there. So then when you then have the courage to go, right, if I could climb to the halfway point, I think I could go another wee bit further. And you take yourself up, figuring where to put your feet and your hands on the way, and then you get to the top, and my God, the view from up there is unbelievable, because you could see so far. To me, this is basically, you are the epitome of that metaphor, because you are now standing at the top of your first mountain when you arrived in Perth. But for me, what you've done is you've went away and climbed many, many more. And I can only imagine how many more are still to be climbed and to reach the top, because that's the thing here. It's not about getting to the top of one mountain. It's about getting to the top of one and realising that there's another one over there that's even tougher. But because I know I can, and when the time is right, I will scale that one as well. And to me, that's what you've done with the business. And I just cannot wait Well, first of all, I can't wait to see you in Australia because one day I'll make that happen. Now that I know, maybe it'll be for the wedding. Who knows? I'll wait for my invite in the post. I hope Kai
You'll
doesn't watch
definitely
this
be
and he's
there.
like, oh, by God, don't make putting ideas in Chloe's head. Give me a chance.
Let the poor boy breathe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how long in total then is that? Did you say, was that 2 years you've been in Australia?
No, it's actually
How
only
long?
a year and a half.
A year and a half, right, okay.
A
So
year
in
and
a
a
year and
half.
a half, you've got the guy, you've got your own place, you've got the business, financial freedom,
Mm-hmm.
basically got it set here now. So tell me, what is the next level for Queen Chloe? Because I know she'll have something that's cooking up in her head as we speak.
Something's up the sleeve.
Always.
Well, we've actually really exciting. Last week, me and Kai actually just applied for sponsorship, which means if it gets approved, we'll be able
Wow.
to stay in Australia long term. Haven't told my dad yet, don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
he'll be devastated. But yeah, long term, the goal is to stay in Australia. The lifestyle over here is just amazing. And I think it's also another reason that I love it over here so much is because when I arrived to Australia, I was almost kind of like a fresh person. It felt like I was kind of painting on a new canvas with life. And to me, all I have in Australia is growth, opportunities, and happy memories. The UK and Glasgow for me, as much as I have people there that I love so much and I've left behind, it's all just very negative connotations and memories for me. I have no desire to return to them other than to visit my loved ones. So for me, goal for right now is Australia. Obviously with so much more travel planned in between, because you know me. And I think honestly, just scaling the business, I would love to take it Australia wide. Right now, we're only running in Perth, but I really just want to expand and go through all states of Australia and who knows, maybe different other countries. Probably won't be the only business that I end up having because I feel like can't sit still and only do one thing
Yep.
at once. I really like to stress myself out. But yeah, goal for then, and honestly, just becoming a better version of myself every single time I'm, as you say, met with a challenge. I really feel like I've got the coping mechanisms now to deal with it in a much healthier, better way for myself. So just really growing as a person. And me and Kai talk about a lot about how we can't wait to kind of just like, yes, get married, have a family, grow old, blah, blah, blah. But I think of us at 40, we've done all our traveling or we're still traveling. And I just think like the people that we are now, we've done so much work individually and together already. I just think like we are just going to be the happiest people if we keep going then, because healing's not linear and like every day's a roller coaster. We still have bad moments, we still have phases, but the way that we're going and the way that we've both grown already, I just think if we keep this up, like it's just, you'll be honestly just unstoppable, as cringy as it is. So yeah, I'm just excited for life really. I feel like I've got my spark back the last few years.
Oh my goodness, you certainly have, girl, because I tell you, the spark was more a nervous energy when I
Yeah.
first met you, and a discomfort and a inner conflict that was just tearing you up inside. And now the glow is from right in here, and it just absolutely illuminates out you. And honestly, Chloe, like it's been for me one of the biggest privileges being part of this journey with you. I can't tell you. People think that I'm maybe making this up, and I swear. I genuinely, it's like a gift for me when I work with someone that takes everything on board and actually runs with it, because I know what was possible for me. You know, I was the girl who was in corporate. I was the girl who thought she would be married with children. I was the one that had substance issues, that couldn't pull herself out the party lifestyle, that didn't know who she was, that had abandonment issues, toxic environments, codependency in her family, oh, the whole shooting match. I mean, the list is never ending. And then, you know, I didn't have my wake up until 39, you know, but my God, it was like a light bulb going on. And for me, that was when my journey started. So for anybody that's tuning into this, I mean, if you get on board with this at this young woman's tender age in her 20s, then that makes me so happy. But also, if you're listening to this and you're knocking on 50 like me, then please believe me, anything is possible. She's the proof. Chloe, you're the proof. I'm the proof. The age is not even relevant in this. It comes down to, am I going to face myself and my own bullshit here? Like, am I actually going to hold a mirror up and go, you're your own problem, but you're also your own solution?
Definitely.
This is really the crux of it. Am I actually going to look and dig into my past and look at my behaviours and look at my patterns and say, okay, maybe that did come from my upbringing, maybe that did come from past relationships, but I'm not blaming them anymore. I want to make peace with that because I want to free myself to move on. And that's where a lot of people keep themselves really stuck because they want to blame their past, their parents, and you know what, maybe it was rubbish when you were growing up. We've all many of us have been exposed to that, or maybe you have been in toxic work situations or relationships, but you can't keep holding on to that. It's that story. You have to be able to say, what did I learn from it? How did I grow from it? And how am I going to move forward? And probably how am I going to let it go so that it doesn't keep holding me down? Because if you hadn't have did the work, you would never have had the confidence to move out of Glasgow. And now you've got a brand new world, a brand new life, a brand new business, a brand new future. And I'm
Definitely.
the same. If I hadn't done what I did, I would still have been in corporate, not running a business from Italy, and from anywhere else in Europe or anywhere else I want to be. And the opportunity now for both of us is just massive. So age, who cares? Anything is possible when you just decide, oh, actually, I am important in my world.
Definitely.
It's not
Choose
about
yourself.
for me, your dad's surviving it. It's going to be tough. My family are missing me. I know that. I'm the glue. My God, I hope they're not watching this episode. But I was literally the glue. I was the one that kept everybody keep going and keep the joy. And, that's my personality. And I know for a fact that people miss me. I have to look at my nieces and their wee lip trembling when I see them on a FaceTime. When are you coming home? But I also know that my life is important to me and I can't live it through someone else. And you have just proven exactly the same thing.
Definitely.
You just chose yourself. So that brings us to the end, unless you've got any other wonderful insights that you want to share with me. But my God, I don't know how you're topping everything you've just shared, to be perfectly honest.
No, I would just say to anyone considering working on yourself, whether that's therapy or just taking the journey for yourself, definitely just go with it. Like, it's not linear. As I said before, it's uncomfortable, it's ugly. There were times where I left your sessions with you and I felt shit or I felt bad and I just didn't know, is this working, is it not? Ultimately, any work you do on yourself is just going to better you. So I think if anyone's maybe watching this thinking, do I, don't I, just give it a shot, and you can always say you've tried it. You're never ever going to regret doing work on yourself, and you never know where it could lead to. I mean, look at me and look at you.
And that's exactly it. Just have the courage to face it. Find the right person that can help facilitate the journey. And it might be more than one person, because sometimes we need a certain type of support and then other times we need another kind of support. So it's about finding the right person with the right energy, the right methodologies that can support you. You are very driven. This is why I reminded me of myself. Tenacious, driven, passionate, real high vibe energy. And we used to joke about this because I've got the energy of 10 people in me still at knocking on 50. So, this will stay with you, Chloe, because it's your energy, it's who you are as a person. So if you find someone that can match who you are to really help you grow exponentially, then get on that and actually give yourself the chance to see what's possible in your life. So thank you so much, my absolute queen, Chloe. Honestly, so proud of you, so happy for you. Give me at least 6 months notice for the wedding so I can plan a flight.
I absolutely will. You'll be getting an invite in the mail or an email since you're off to Italy every second week.
Yes. So I can't wait to just see the next chapter for you. And I'm so grateful you come on to share your story, because I know that when anyone hears this story, you felt heard, you felt seen, you felt able to be vulnerable, you felt ready to let go, step forward, build the courage, in whatever methodology that we did that in in our sessions together. But you're the one that took the actions. And I hope people, when they listen to this, realise what's possible when you just step forward and choose you. So thank you so much for joining me. And I will see all of the listeners in the next one. So I'll see you See you then. You stay on, Chloe, though, because I want to talk to you, right? See you later, everybody.